What's good, y'all? In today's video, I'm going to be going over how to create a basic vintage graphic and use that graphic to create a shirt using Procreate and my supply pack. So be sure to follow along and let's jump right into it. So first things first, what we want to do is create a new canvas, and that canvas is going to be 6,000 pixels by 6,000 pixels at 300 dpi, and we're going to go ahead and create that. Now that we have our canvas here, what we want to do is add a text, and the font that I want to use for this design is called SIMLLHP, and I'm just going to type in SPLY here. Of course, here you can put your brand name or anything that you want here, but for this example, I'm just going to put SPLY for supply, and I'm going to expand that out. I think that looks pretty good there. So now we have this. I already adjusted some of the spacing between the letters. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this, and I'm thinking like a nice washed out red will look cool, so something like that. So once we're here, we have our two layers. We have our red layer and our black layer. What I want to do on this top red layer is go to our uniform transform tool and just drag straight up. And what that'll do is create like a subtle drop shadow effect that I think looks really nice. So now we can group these two together, and we can call this our SPLY group. And let's go ahead and downsize this some as well. So after we have our supply group selected, what I want to do is go to our background color and just select like a medium gray. And then we're going to create a new layer. For this, I'm just going to use a regular pencil brush, and now what I want to do is just start drawing out kind of like a star shape. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw out the star the old-fashioned way, the best way I know how. And then once we have our outline here, so we're just going to start dropping in some color. And now what we want to do is take the star we just created and drop it below our supply layer. And once we drop it below, I'm just going to adjust the star slightly so everything lines up a little bit better. We can kind of tweak and distort it some. I'm going to call this our white star, and I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to rename this our blue star. And the reason we're renaming it blue star is because we're going to now find a blue color and drag that onto our star. And what we want to do now is take this blue star we just created, and we're going to lower the size, and we're going to start laying them out right around our design here. So we can put this first star here, and then we're just going to start duplicating these out. We put another one right about here, another one here. And this is just kind of like a copy, paste, rinse, repeat kind of thing that we're doing now. And then I'm going to take a final star and put it right up here. So now I'll just go through and kind of adjust these so everything lines up a little bit better on this kind of curve we're creating here. So now what we want to do is select these first three stars that we have here, and we're going to merge those three together. So let's duplicate that, and then we're just going to transform it horizontally and move it to the other side of our design. And now we can kind of figure out what looks best on this side. I'm kind of going for a more organic kind of style with this, so I'm not too worried about everything lining up perfectly. Just really want everything to look nice. And I think placing the stars right about there looks pretty good. So now we have all of our blue stars there, and we can go ahead and merge those. So we have our white star now, we have our blue star, and we have our supply layer up here. And now what I want to do is add some more text. And this font now is called Violetta. And here, I'm just gonna type out 67.5, kind of playing into like a radio station broadcast kind of theme here. And I'm just gonna adjust some of the sizes as well. So once we have that how we want it, I'm just gonna expand this. And now I'm gonna duplicate this one time, and let's go ahead and edit this text, edit the style. And here there's gonna be like an O, and this O is for outline. So let's go to this outline and tap on it. And as we see here, when we tap on that O, it creates an outline for our design. So on this, I'm just gonna go and select black now. So on our second 67.5 design. So this is the first one that we created, just the plain yellow. Then we add an outline to it, it'll look like that. And we're gonna do one more. So now what we can do is hide this outline layer. Let's duplicate this base layer. And on the base layer, let's now make this one black. So we can bring our outline back in, and this black layer that we just created, let's bring this all the way to the bottom to where it's hidden. And we're gonna do the same thing like how we did with our original supply design. And we're just gonna create like a nice smooth drop shadow for that by dragging down. And I think that looks pretty good there. And now we can group our 67.5 designs, and I'm gonna put them right around here. So now that we have that, I'm just gonna go to distort here, and I'm just gonna drag this and kind of put it on a slant almost, and then just kind of adjust everything to size as well. So we can rename this group our 67.5 layer. And one last thing that I want to do as well is I'm going to go through and add one more layer, and we can call this our circle. And on the circle layer, we're going to just draw a circle. Okay, and we're going to just kind of drag this into place. Like I said, I'm not too worried about things lining up here at all. Actually, I'm trying to avoid things lining up. I think sometimes having things a little off center can make for a better design. So here's everything we have so far. So again, we have our 67.5, we have our supply, we have our blue star, our circle, and our white star as well. And while I'm here, what I can do as well is go ahead and merge the circle and the white star, and that'll keep the white star name. I do want to make this more of an off-white color now, because I think that'll look better on our design that we're going to do here in a second. So let's just subtly change that from that bright white to a more off-white kind of color. So now what we can do is group all of these layers, and we can call this our design group. And once we have everything grouped here, let's go ahead and duplicate this and turn off this bottom one and lock it as well. And then we're going to flatten this top group, okay? And now we can kind of drag this into our screen a little bit more. And what I want to do on this now is click it one time, and I'm going to go to the mask here. And on this mask, we want to make sure our color is selected to black. And now we want to go to our brushes library and our sketching brushes and locate the artist crayon brush. So once we have this brush selected, what we can do is kind of start going over our design here, just very lightly. And you can be a little heavy-handed here, that's fine, because we set up a mask, and I'll show you what that mask does. So because we have our mask set up here, we can change our color to white now. What this will do is kind of erase some of that distressing that we just did and soften it back up in some areas. But for this design, I do want to leave a good amount of that distressing, just to really, like I said, emphasize that vintage radio station broadcast kind of vibe that we have going on here. And yeah, for our design, I think that looks pretty solid. So now what I want to do is go ahead and turn off our background color. And now we can see here with the background color off, there's transparency here. We can see straight through it, and that's exactly what we want, because we're now going to throw this design on a mockup. So let's jump right into that. So first things first, on this new canvas, what I want to do is make sure I have a drawing guide set up to symmetry. And after we have that, we can go ahead and find our mockup. So the mockup that I had in mind for this is the double layer T front brush. And we're going to make sure on our layer and just tap down one time and make sure that this mockup is aligned with the center of our symmetry here. And once we have that pretty centered to the middle of our screen, what we want to do now is go ahead and duplicate this layer, and we're going to call this top layer our outline, and on the bottom layer we're going to call this our color layer. So now what we can do is create a new layer again, make sure this is beneath our color layer. So let's lock that outline layer now, and then we're going to add one more layer and make sure this one is below our color layer. And for this, I'm thinking about revisiting that kind of medium gray color that we were working on earlier, just again going for that vintage kind of vibe. And here we're going to drag this off our screen now, and then from here what we can do on the sleeves is change the color of those, and we can just go straight to these and drag the color onto the sleeves. So now that we have the base for our shirt set, what we can do is go back to our design here. So now that we're back on our design here, let's go to actions, copy canvas, and then we're going to go back to our mockup here, and we're just going to paste our canvas and kind of drop that down right there. It might look a little off right now, but that's okay, because we're about to go through and add some details to the shirt. So the first thing that I want to do is go ahead and create a new layer, and then I'm going to do clipping mask and drawing assist, and this layer is going to be our shadows layer. So now I'm just going to select a black color. I'm going to go ahead and drop the opacity as well to about 60, and I'm just going to go around and start coloring in some of these different areas where some shadows might be. And as always, I usually lay on the shadows pretty heavy at first, just kind of building out those areas where I know I want shadows to be. And now what we can do is just go through and erase some of these shadows and soften it up in some places, just kind of balancing everything out. I think that looks pretty cool. On this shirt, I do want to make the base a little bit darker, so I'm just going to drag a darker gray to the base now, and we change that color, and I think that's already looking pretty smooth. So now let's create a new layer, and we can call this our texture layer. And on our texture layer here, now we want to select that lighter gray color, and I'm just going to use the rough wash brush from Quattro's brushes and make sure this is selected to drawing assist as well. And I'm just going to go through and kind of start fading in this shirt some. So just kind of adding in that wash to certain areas on the T here. And again, what I can do is go through and erase some of that now, and it looks pretty cool when you really build up that texture. Okay, so now looking at our layers, we have our outline layer, we have our design, we have our shadows and some texture, and I'm going to add one more layer on top of our outline layer, and I'm just going to go back to that pencil brush that we had earlier and make sure this layer is selected drawing assist as well. This is going to be our distressing layer. So now on the bottom, what we can do is go through and add in some distressing, like some frayed edges, just to really emphasize that vintage look again that we're going for. And we could do some light distressing on the sleeves here as well. And then even if we wanted to kind of add in some holes, a cool way to make some holes is draw like a wave shape like that, and then just kind of follow that curve and then fill in that shape with black. and then do that maybe like 2 more times around it as well. And after we create this one rip, it makes it a lot easier to just copy and paste that into other areas. And then I'm just going to merge all of my distressing layers now. And the last thing I want to do is just go back to our shadow layer and add in a little bit more shadow here on the bottom, just to really show that fade and wear a little bit more. That looks pretty cool. And yeah, if you liked the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. The supply pack and other products of mine are available now on my website at quadrasupply.com. So if you're interested, be sure to check those out. There's also a lot we didn't get to go over today, so make sure you leave a comment below of which you want to see more of, and I got y'all with that. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.